Kenyan politics is like a room full of mist and you can't really see what is happening. Yeah, the kind of thick mist we sometimes see at a place called Limuru when you're coming into Nairobi. You can't clearly see what is ahead of you. Yeah, it becomes very dangerous. You have to drive slowly. On my show today, we're going to clear that mist. And what we're going to discover is some very major, game-changing political developments that most of us have missed because there is so much drama. We don't know which drama to focus on. It is difficult to remain focused on what is really important. Okay, so stay with me, and I guarantee you that at the end of my show today, you will be very clear on your mind. For instance, what happened yesterday, the so-called parliamentary group meeting of Kenya Kwanza MPs and ODM MPs. What next for Edwin Sifuna, Senator, and legislator Babu Owino, as they stick out their necks as rebels? Karibuni sana. And without taking any more of your valuable time, twende kazi. You know, there is a difference between arrogant lies and respectful lies. It is important to understand the difference because the official government position, in answer to some of the drama that has been unfolding recently, and indeed the official position of this Ruto government many times, has been arrogant lies, disrespectful lies, as opposed to uongo ya heshima. Let me explain, and let's start with a very simple example. The long-suffering wife of a certain Kenyan catches him red-handed at some smart restaurant with a woman. Okay, and the response of the man, "What is wrong with you, woman? That was my cousin." Who do you think you are? Do you think you know all my cousins? Rubbish. Stop disturbing me. I'm putting food on the table. Leave me alone. I don't have time for this. Disrespectful lies. It is so obvious that woman was not his cousin. But the man doesn't care. He doesn't give a hoot whether she believes him or not. Hiyo ni uongo ambaye ina heshima. Respectful lies, in sharp contrast. Honey, please forgive me. You know there's some very distant relatives of mine you may not know about. I assure you nothing was happening. I assure you that is not my girlfriend. Please, listen to me. I know you're upset. And I am so sorry for upsetting you, etc., etc. Those are respectful lies. Lakini yote ni uongo, and all lies is wrong. Just tell the truth. Ikiwa mbaya iwe mbaya. That's the best policy. The truth will always set you free. Anyway, let's get into the nitty-gritty. It was a very stormy meeting. You will not believe what happened. The parliamentarians were hostile towards both Ruto and Raila. They shouted them down. It is reported that there were even shouts of one term in Ruto's face. But I guess Ruto is so used to it these days. Yeah, he was a little cool. Raila, on the other hand, almost lost it. He started giving the MPs a lecture on what democracy is about. Yeah, you listen to the other person, you may not agree with them, but you will defend their right to death for them to say what they want to say, even if you're opposed to it. Raila was lecturing them. This lecture fell on deaf ears. Both principles of the broad-based, bread-based government were unable to address the parliamentarians in peace. Now that is very significant, extremely significant, and I know some of us can already guess why that is a game changer. You know, there is something about the truth that is very stubborn. You may bury the truth somewhere, and it may remain buried momentarily. And even when the next rains come, they may not be heavy enough for that seed of truth to germinate. But then a few seasons later, there could be heavy rains, and finally you see that seed shooting out of the ground. So definitely these stories from State House were a desperate move to hide the truth. That is also significant, because people cannot be desperate to hide the truth for nothing. And in my opinion, this further emphasizes the point I'm trying to drive forward. There was a very significant game-changing thing that emerged out of this drama at this parliamentary group meeting. Indeed, the very first parliamentary group meeting of the broad-based government legislators. Now, you know the way these PG meetings are supposed to go is that people are supposed to come out of them with a clear direction, so that when they go to parliament, they will be able to legislate effectively. They will be able to pass bills quickly. They will be able to do what the executive wants quickly. And so, that now, in this case, will not happen. I think we can now very confidently say that we can see the seeds of impeachment loading. Because to impeach, you need numbers. And of course the government can use its muscle and its state machinery to delay this thing and to frustrate it here and there. But finally, they will not be able to hold this tsunami. That is the clear development. And it is even further complicated by the fact that politicians the world over by nature are very quick to smell blood. And in this case, they have smelt blood. They have smelt a regime that is collapsing. And everybody is very busy positioning themselves to ensure that they come out of this one ahead. And some of them are dreaming of coming out very further ahead. Maybe even with the presidency. Oh yes, any politician who is not ambitious should not be in politics. Somebody once said, make no mistake about it. For somebody to sit down at State House and to take their time creating fiction as a narrative to mask the truth, to hide the truth of what happened during the so-called PG meeting, for them to take their valuable time to do that, please believe me, this was very major. This is a very major political development in our country. And of course, long-suffering Kenyans on the ground are very happy. They are very hopeful. Because in their minds, they will not rest until this regime goes home. That is really what it is, if we're to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. That is what it is. Kenyans don't want anything else. And I'm talking about a vast majority of Kenyans. Definitely over 90% of the Kenyans. And that one is serious. How can a regime survive that? How? It is not possible. Now in my next video, we are going to take a closer look at the different groups, rebel groups that are forming in Parliament. That will be very interesting. Because, in case you didn't know, it is not just Sifuna and Babu Owino. No! There are many different, at least 4 different rebel groups. So make sure you don't miss that particular video. Look out for it. Now, very quickly before I go, I just want to remind you of my latest highly sensitive special report that dives into something much deeper than just Gachagua. It talks about what is really happening behind the scenes. And many of the people who have taken it in have gotten back to me and told me, Chris, what? We are finished. That is what most people have told me. Now you can see details on your screens right now. For only Kenya shillings 2,999, you can get this highly sensitive information pop in your inbox. And please don't forget to get me your email address quickly, immediately after you've made your payment for quick service. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.